As our modern society continues to progress and evolve, it seems we discover more and more evidence that proves there was once a lost civilization. This discovery can be a little controversial at times, especially when it comes to proving the existence of such civilizations. And sometimes, people just can't handle the truth. Join us today as we explore the pyramid beneath Antarctica. But first, if you could please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video from us. A long time ago, before social media, mankind used to write on cave walls. Back then, there wasn't much else to do. In fact, most of what we've discovered about ancient cultures is through paintings and etchings left behind by members of those societies. Now, some of these drawings are rather impressive, but many others show a simple way of life not unlike our own. There are pictures of hunting, daily activities, and even religious rituals. All of this is interesting because it gives us a better idea of how ancient people lived back then. It also allows us to compare their way of life to our own and understand where we came from. However, one particular drawing is starting to cause quite the stir amongst archaeologists. Recently, satellite scans of the South Pole have revealed something strange underneath the icy terrain. What's even stranger is that this discovery was completely accidental. It just so happened that the scans showed something that shouldn't be there, and scientists were baffled. They weren't looking for pyramids in Antarctica. In fact, they hadn't really given any thought as to what might be buried beneath all that ice. In 2015, researchers at the University of Texas conducted a gravity survey of Antarctica. While the research project didn't have anything to do with finding a lost city, they did find something very interesting. When conducting the survey, the team noticed there were multiple triangular-shaped voids hidden beneath the ice. These voids appeared to form a triangle pattern and were found in a remote part of Antarctica. The team didn't know what to make of their discovery and set out to learn more about the area. They named it the High-Resolution Airborne Survey of Antarctica and began digging. After several months of surveying, drilling, and preparing for their journey, the team was ready to begin excavating the site. They flew to Antarctica and landed as close to the site as they could get. From here, they had to trudge through waist-deep water. And after 35 kilometers, they finally reached the spot where the pyramid was located. However, to their surprise, it wasn't exactly what they were expecting. While the satellite images looked as though there was a massive pyramid buried beneath the surface, in reality, it was only 80 meters tall. The researchers used hot water jets to blast through the ice and slowly uncovered the structure. It became apparent that whatever was beneath the ice wasn't a pyramid, but instead some kind of rectangular structure. To this day, no one is sure what they were expecting to find, but it certainly wasn't this. To make matters even stranger, the structure turned out to be much older than any of the pyramids found in Egypt. Researchers believe that the structure is anywhere between 260,000 and 300,000 years old. That's thousands upon thousands of years older than the Egyptian pyramids. So how is it possible that a structure of this magnitude has laid dormant in Antarctica for so long? As soon as the team realized what they were dealing with, they wasted no time in getting to work. They spent weeks carefully chipping away at the walls of the structure and removing debris. During their excavations, the team made some pretty shocking discoveries. It turns out that the structure actually has a series of chambers inside of it. At first, these chambers were filled with ice, but as the team dug deeper, things started to become clearer. They found walls adorned with strange etchings. And while some of the drawings seem to resemble ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, they aren't entirely accurate. Archaeologists believe this could be early Proto-Egyptian artwork. If this is true, it means there may have been a civilization in Antarctica long before ancient Egypt existed. But the team's discoveries didn't end there. As they continued to dig further into the pyramid, they found statues of humanoids frozen in place. Many of these statues appear to have elongated skulls, which isn't unheard of in ancient cultures. Some of the other statues have regular human skulls, but it's unknown why some have elongated ones. We don't know if this was intentional or simply a result of the culture's physical traits. After uncovering these statues, the team decided to study them. At first glance, it seemed as though the statues were lifeless and posed no threat to the team. However, things took a turn for the worse as soon as they entered the main chamber. As soon as the team stepped foot inside the largest room, the temperature began to rise. Soon, the room went from being below freezing to a balmy 18 degrees Celsius. Things started to get weird when one of the statues twitched. At first, it was just a slight movement, but it quickly began to move around. The team was scared, but they tried to remain calm. They knew this was uncharted territory, and no one had ever seen anything like this happen before. However, it seemed as though whatever had awoken from its slumber wasn't aggressive. Instead, it was curious. This entity cautiously approached the team and studied them for a while. We don't know what this creature was thinking, but it appeared to be observing the team and trying to figure out what they were. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the statue approached one of the team members and touched its hand. This caused everyone to panic, but the being didn't harm anyone. It circled the room several times, touching different pieces of equipment and even examining the cameras. It was as if this creature had never seen any of this technology before. It was fascinating to watch, but the team knew they couldn't stay in the chamber forever. Eventually, they had to leave and continue their research. But before they could, one of the statues opened its eyes and beckoned with its finger. It was as if it was trying to tell the team something. No one knew what to do, but eventually they followed the instructions of the statue. They were led outside the pyramid and to a patch of open land. Once they were outside, the being made a circular motion with its arm. It was as if it was telling the team to look around. They obliged, and that's when they saw it. There was a hole in the sky above them, and a bright light was shining down. The team knew this was a sign that they needed to leave. As much as they wanted to continue their research, they knew that they had to go. So they packed up their equipment and headed back home. But the story doesn't end there. Once the team got back to their hotel, they decided to review their footage. They had filmed everything that had happened during their time at the pyramid, and now they could look back on it. But as they watched, something strange began to happen. As they neared the end of the tape, they heard a voice that didn't belong to any of the team members. It was a man's voice, and it said, "SOS, is anyone out there?" The team was confused and rewound the tape to try and listen again. This time they heard the same message, but it was followed by the sound of static. Then they heard a child's voice say, "Hello." The team was shocked, and no one could explain what was happening. They continued to watch as the video played, and the boy's voice said, "I'm here with my dad, and we're looking for help. Please send assistance." Then the screen went blank, and the camera stopped working. Now, this is where things get really strange. The team checked the date on the camera, and it turns out that the footage was recorded in 2017, but the voice at the end of the tape sounded as though it was recorded recently. How is it possible for a child to have been born in 2017 and for him to be speaking to us from 2022? Some people believe that this is proof of time travel, while others think it's just a hoax. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more content. With that, we'll see you next time.